Welcome back to the NerdFellas video. We're doing a nice little movie review this weekend. We just saw Doctor Strange.
Yes, we did.
So this movie was a lot to take in.
A lot for the eyes to take in.
Yeah, this is a sensory movie. But I like waiting a day for reviewing movies just so you get past your initial reaction and you have more of a well thought out instead of just like either I hate this or I love this.
And I'm the type that wants to review it that night, get it done, first initial reactions, which can sometimes be good and beneficial, but we got to chew on this one a little bit.
A little bit. We waited a full day to talk about it, and so you're about to hear about this. So, Mike, what is this movie about?
Doctor Strange follows Stephen Strange, a neurosurgeon.
Mm-hmm. Just like McDreamy.
Yes, just like McDreamy. And his hands get destroyed pretty much through a car accident. And he embarks on a journey to find healing powers, or he wants to heal his hands so he can become a neurosurgeon again, but instead finds a new path through sorcery and magic.
In a nutshell.
That's the basic synopsis for you.
Explain it like I'm five. So, okay, let's go no nonsense. What did you think? No, well, spoiler free for now.
Spoiler free.
We'll dig in on a little bit.
I liked it.
Okay.
A lot. For a Doctor Strange film, none of us even thought that we could have a Doctor Strange film.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it could stand alone now and not have any supporting characters in this film from any of the Marvel universe. He was name dropped in Winter Soldier, but that's about it. And now that we see him on his own, you see a lot of Easter eggs and you know he exists in this massive universe, but it was a great standalone film. And I will say that it started off really fast because we have to get a quick origin story on Doctor Strange. And
probably their fastest solo origin
story. Yeah, I mean, Thor, had a lot of good development.
Yeah. And
with this one, it stuck almost pretty much true to the comic book back in 1963 when it first came out. But it changed a couple of things, and that's fine just for the speeding up of the process of it. So overall, I thought it was visually amazing, really awesome in 3D. So if you get a chance, you have to go to 3D. I'm not a 3D fan, but 3D Doctor Strange, top notch.
Yep.
What about you?
I'm sitting on this, but I think it might be my favorite origin movie. I'm sitting on it because Iron Man was such a great origin movie.
Yes, it was.
Deadpool was a great origin movie because it changed up the formula for it, and it wasn't just point A to point B.
True.
It threw you right into it, and it kind of gave it to you in pieces. But this might be up there. It's one of my favorite MCU films.
Okay.
Not my favorite MCU film. That still belongs to Winter Soldier.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So, but the way I see it is, if the formula isn't broken, don't fix it.
That's true.
It has a lot of the same, archetypes as Iron Man.
It tried trailing off a little bit, I think.
Cocky, arrogant, rich man, almost dies, goes through trials, and ends up having a change of heart. You can describe that about both of them.
And getting the same goatee style.
Yeah, same goatee style, which is sweet, by the way.
Beer bros.
Yeah, no kidding.
Beer bros.
So you can say the same thing about both of them, but they're both great movies. And this one isn't afraid to hold back from the weirdness that kind of changes up the formula just enough.
Yes.
So I loved it.
All right, so I think now it's time to get into some spoilers. Now we want to kind of talk about what was good, what was bad, and then we'll give our final thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, so what did you think?
What was good? I really liked how they didn't pull back anything off of the weirdness, the trippiness, and the psychedelic nature of the movie.
Yes.
All while making it simple. They made it surprisingly easy to follow that there's different dimensions and there's different ways to control time and things like that, and stuff that can get really weird in movies.
Right.
It was so simple to follow that I'm pretty sure the young age group can mostly keep along with it.
They can go along for the ride.
For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part.
Especially if they're on acid.
Kids, don't do acid.
But, yeah, okay, continue.
What else do I like? I really like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
The first thing I was like, okay, he's talented. He's one of the best actors, I think, on TV and movies right now. But I was kind of worried, let's see how his American accent comes across. Didn't even notice.
Didn't even notice, huh?
Didn't even notice.
I will admit, I was also worried, only because I feel like he's not very comedic in nature for me.
No, he's not.
He's not. He seems always very serious.
He has like a bass to his voice that makes it sophisticated.
Yeah, but when he came into this film, man, he could deliver some comedy. I mean, he's an all-around great actor. I mean, he's fun to watch, and and it worried me sometimes. I felt like maybe he tried a little too hard, but overall, I enjoyed his whole performance in this film.
Yeah. Originally, my dream casting was Ewan McGregor as Doctor Strange. I just think he fits the mold.
I kind of wanted who else was in the running for that? Colin Farrell.
Okay, yeah.
I thought that would have been.
He has like a look for it, yeah.
But Cumberbatch did amazing. I think he was the perfect choice. I'm glad he joined the Marvel Universe. So
and it's crazy seeing him in such a long-term franchise that's not Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not too. But it had a lot. Like I said, it had a lot of the same characteristics that Marvel Cinematic Universe has, but it opened up so many new doors too at the same time.
It did.
You had a taste of it with Ant-Man getting into is the microverse is what it's called? No, they did into something different.
No, they did. He went into a different dimension.
Yeah.
So and it was a similar dimension, one of many.
It was a really quick.
Yeah.
Really quick intro. This just went full on, and I'm somewhat limited in Doctor Strange. I read a couple stories here and there. It was cool seeing like Steve Ditko's original art come to life in a whole new way.
Yeah, just seeing even the fact that they didn't really alter the costume itself. I mean, just having the cape. I mean, that was awesome. Like I didn't think it could be pulled off, but it worked.
You know what the cape reminded me of? It reminded me of the carpet from Aladdin.
Yeah, it had that kind of personality.
Yeah. Which I'll get into a little bit of that, things I didn't like.
Okay.
But we'll get there.
Okay. And then the cape itself had its own personality.
Yeah. It was sassy.
It was very sassy. So yeah, exactly like you said, like it was kind of like Aladdin's carpet.
Yeah.
And there was one scene in particular that was kind of awkward and hilarious where Doctor Strange is looking at himself in the mirror and he has these tears.
Yeah.
And the cape he pops his collar and he looks very serious and all of a sudden the cape kind of leans in and wipes his tears.
He's like, come on,
stop it. And he just walks off. So it was cool. I mean, another awesome performance, Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
One of my Hollywood crushes. I love you, Rachel. But don't tell my wife.
Yeah, she's going to see this.
She's probably going to watch this. But, I mean, she did pretty awesome, too.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
she didn't have a lot to
work
with. I think, okay, there was a couple characters that didn't have a lot to work with. They made the most out of it.
But they made the most out of it. And she was kind of like just that kind of like extra spice to add to the film.
Yeah.
You know? It was just nice to see her give a love interest to Doctor Strange.
It was cool seeing her be that humanizing factor of it.
Yes.
Because throughout the whole movie, they're all humans. No one's really too larger than life. Which is weird to say in a Doctor Strange movie. But you have moments where they're living on Earth. Wi-Fi password jokes.
Yeah.
Little things. They have moments that they're just on Earth. They're not doing too many. They're not going across too many crazy places.
True.
But she was the most normal person there. And she really added this like element of humanizing to him for both the better and the worst.
Yeah.
Because they kind of, I guess, took you on like the journey of he was arrogant. Then after his hands get crushed, he turns up the knob on that, and like you almost like hate him for how he's treating her.
Yeah, he becomes
like the things he says to her. It's like, dude, like you don't even realize what she's there for.
Yeah, that especially that moment when she says, "There's other things that you can do in life, and there's other things to live for." And he's like, "What? Like you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy crap!"
Oh, that was a punch.
You don't say that to Rachel McAdams ever.
That was a gut punch. And it was cool seeing she brought that moment. Like, God, this guy's a douche. And then in the end, you kind of realize full circle he learns about it partially because of her, partially because of everything he learned from the Ancient One, everything he learned from Mordo, from Wong.
Yeah.
Every character served for some kind of purpose, no matter how small it was.
Let's talk about those other characters.
Yeah.
Baron Mordo and Wong and the Ancient One and Mad Mikkelsen's character.
Caecilius.
Yes. So
Caecilius.
So in the comic book, the role of Caecilius, he's actually Baron Mordo's.
Yeah, his arc, I guess.
Yeah, his arc was kind of taken away from Baron Mordo, and I like kind of the way they set up this whole story because Baron Mordo gets his own origin story too.
Yeah, like that's exactly what I was like thinking too. It's kind of, you don't realize you're seeing someone else get a launch at the same point.
Yeah.
And I kind of think it's going to be like his Winter Soldier in the next movie.
Maybe. Because he doesn't want to, I mean, by the end of the film, so, spoilers, of course, like we were saying, he finds out the Ancient One who was also a great performance.
Yeah.
And is supposed to be a man, but it's not a man, so it's okay. But Baron Mordo he has good intentions, and he wants to kind of get rid of not all but most of the sorcerers in the world now.
He said there's too many.
There's too many sorcerers.
Which we'll get to a little bit more.
So, but I mean, his character development was pretty awesome. He was very serious.
It's believable.
Yeah, and his downfall doesn't seem too much like a downfall. It seems like he's trying to do something good, and he believes that in himself.
He's doing the right things for the wrong ways to do the right things, I guess.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy that would be on like an internet forum for like the Empire did no wrong.
Yeah.
That's kind of I kind of saw like a little bit like a dark side kind of vibe, for which it's all Disney.
True.
So that's kind of what I thought. But I thought everyone like Chiwetel Ejiofor was great. Mads Mikkelsen. They say that he's another one of those throwaway villains, which in the end he was.
He was literally a throwaway.
Literally throwaway. But I feel like he did a lot more than the other throwaway villains, though.
Yeah, in Marvel, the only good villain for me who ended up becoming good was Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And he was good through 2 arcs where he was just uncontrollable. I mean, you couldn't stop him. He was unstoppable. And, even with Mads Mikkelsen's character, you were kind of like... He was onto something, and he was pretty scary, and he was devastating, and then, just by the end of it, you're like, well...
He's gone.
Yeah, that's it, bye.
Yeah, and he was a setup. He was a plot point setup character. But I feel like I was more invested in him than a lot of the other ones that they've had.
That's what made him good. So
way more than Whiplash, way more than Malekith and Thor. Maybe even way more than what's his name? What's his name from Ant-Man?
I can't even remember his name.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
he was the main villain, and I don't even remember his name.
But I mean, Yellow Jacket is
there. It is.
He's Yellow Jacket. I mean, in the comic book, he's good and bad too.
Yeah, but even more than Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man. See, that just happened.
Yeah, that just happened. But
and,
that's a lot of good points for the film, and I think the best and strongest were the visuals.
Oh yeah.
It was so, like we said, psychedelic. It was like you were living through this giant kaleidoscope, and the effects they threw in this, you're wondering, I need to see the behind the scenes stuff. How the hell did they achieve this? Because it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe the second movie this year where it's go for the IMAX, the XD 3D, shoot all out. The other one being Jungle Book.
Jungle Book was also good on here.
Both Disney. What's going on here?
Disney rules the world, man.
Oh,
but
man,
Doctor Strange, definitely see it. If not in IMAX, go see it in XD at Tinseltown Cinemark theaters, because it's pretty awesome. So one thing I'm getting more excited about is the fact that we're finally getting all the Infinity Stones that Thanos is trying to get.
We're almost there, too.
We're almost there. We have the 5th stone in Doctor Strange. So what stones do we have so far?
The Tesseract was first.
Tesseract.
Then the Ether.
Okay.
Power.
Vision.
Power was Guardians.
Power is Guardians.
Then the Mind is Vision.
Mind is Vision.
And now we have Time.
And now Time.
Which is in the Eye of Agamotto. Which... They kind of changed a little bit, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, they changed the whole Infinity Stone
I don't
formula.
mind it. It makes sense within this universe.
Yeah.
Any rules that they make has to... anything has to abide by its own rules, which they're doing, which I'm totally cool with that.
So the final stone we're missing is the Soul Stone, which might not come until either maybe Captain Marvel or maybe even the first Infinity War film.
Yeah, there's so much to happen in between.
So, I mean, that's cool.
Maybe Thor Ragnarok?
Maybe Thor Ragnarok. We might get the Soul Stone. Because he might have to bring someone back to life.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's so much Marvel's doing right now that's mind-blowing how far they've come along.
Oh, yeah.
And how cohesive it still is.
What other good points to this film? I mean, the film overall, great story. The crash scene when Doctor Strange loses control of his car, that was kind of hard to watch, man.
It was pretty intense.
It was intense. It was pretty realistic. I mean, I thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool sequence. I mean, just a ton of great sequences, some great fight scenes. When you're watching this, I got 2 hints of 2 different film inspirations. Okay. I got Inception, of course, obviously.
Yeah, that's like the most obvious.
Most obvious. And then
it's
I
like
also
Inception
got
cranked up.
Yeah, it's like Inception on steroids. Yeah. It's ridiculous. The other one I got was Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
So because of the time stone is able to go forward or back in time.
It's kind of like the climax, I guess, of the movie.
Yeah.
I guess. Which I want to say, shout out to Marvel for giving New York a break.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, New York's been through too much. They had a small little attack in this. Everything happened in Hong Kong.
Thank God. And then, actually, Doctor Strange prevented anything from happening in New York.
Yeah, which you see in the movie that he is the new master.
Yes.
For that. And that was kind of one thing. I kind of had like an internal laugh. So any other Doctor Who fans would probably know this.
Oh, God.
Yep, I'm watching Doctor Who right now. I'm on the biggest binge. That's a side note. So there's the Doctor, obviously. Mm-hmm. And one of his main advocates, it's the end of the 10th Doctor, is the Master. So they kept calling him Master, and he was like, "No, I'm Doctor." And that was for me, like, that was just cool for me.
Master Doctor?
Yeah. And that was probably like the only thing I'm probably the only one that cares about that.
You know what other cool fight I liked? That was pretty cool in 3D was the fight when they were both astral projected.
Yes.
So that was an awesome fight. And
the one thing that's cool about the astral projection, one of my favorite Doctor Strange stories is The Oath. And they took a scene right out of it where he comes in astral form and freaks out a nurse.
Oh, that's right.
He does it to Christine, Rachel McAdams. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, Easter eggs. I didn't think I was going to catch any of them.
Yeah, they pulled a lot of inspiration from different comic books.
And it didn't feel forced either.
It didn't. It was all pretty natural. It moved pretty smoothly.
Yeah, with the exception maybe Stan Lee's, which, they can find a way to put it in.
Stan Lee, they already filmed Stan Lee's next 4 or 5 appearances in films.
Scary.
It kind of scares me because what if that means Stan Lee's leaving? But let's not talk about that right now.
Yeah, we're not getting into too many dark things here.
I'm not even going to... Hold on, I need to reflect.
Let's take a moment.
It's stuck. I'm not going to show you. I have a picture of me with Stan Lee back there.
Yep, you're not going to see any of that because I'm saying this, which means we're going to edit it out. Forcing it.
What was I going to say?
So, I guess Stan Lee's, you kind of have to force him in. Sometimes it works cool, sometimes it doesn't. For me, it happened on this one.
Yeah, and they already filmed his next 4 or 5 ones, so I'm kind of excited to see what they do with him in other movies.
Yeah.
But, yeah, his was... Maybe you can count 3-4 seconds.
It's quick.
It's super quick.
It's quicker than the X-Men Apocalypse.
But I'm just glad to see him in them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're not going to have much more of them, which we'll not talk about that.
Don't talk about that.
But one thing that I will bring it back to the climax of the Time Stone.
Yes.
Where he's talking to Dormammu,
Dormammu, who is the ultimate villain that's supposed to be resurrected to bring the Dark World onto Earth, in case.
Yeah. And one thing I read, just a quick tangent, not even tangent, because quick fun fact, is that it's voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch himself also.
Really?
That's what I had read. If someone
cool.
can confirm that, put it right here below in the comments.
There you go.
It is... I like the way it was like a play on like this big end of world thing, and it was just the continuous the Groundhog Day loop you were saying. He's like, I couldn't make a bargain. And I know one thing we immediately thought of was Galactus, a big purple cloud looking thing.
That's the only thing that bugged me. So let's get into things that we did not like.
Well, really quick before I get there, it bugged me, but he did more than Galactus though. He killed Doctor Strange many times.
That's true. Galactus didn't do shit.
Yeah, no, he was just a purple cloud. Prince would have been proud, but he did those things, and you see immediately where he's come so far from the beginning, where it was all by himself. Now he's doing it over and over, just to keep Dormammu basically distracted.
Not even distracted, but
stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck, and by doing a new element, Dormammu doesn't know what time is. He just keeps going in a straight line. By bringing time into that realm, it totally makes sense, and it's like I said, the formula's not broken. Don't fix it, but they did just enough where it's fresh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And that's being one of those things.
And getting into like some of the bad things, that was one thing I would mention.
Yeah.
Dormammu is a pretty cool bad guy in the comic books, and he has a great design, but if you've seen Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, when Galactus shows up, he's this big, giant astral puff cloud thing that doesn't do anything. And that's basically, essentially, what Dormammu ends up being. And honestly, if Dormammu had fully manifested, then the world would have ended. Yeah. So that's why Doctor Strange had to stop him, and that's why we never get to see him.
Yeah.
But
do you think that might be like a setup for like later on they might reuse him again?
I feel like if Marvel's going to go big to close out the whole arc they've been building since 2008, I think they're going to bring in like Red Skull and Dormammu and
well, we know Thanos is the build-up for right now.
Yeah, so Thanos is going to be the big bad guy. So maybe Dormammu might come back. And I think there has to be a Doctor Strange 2 because the way Baron Mordo has a new task now.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was thinking that Baron Mordo might be his Winter Soldier in the next movie. And he's kind of going to be more at the point where he's at in the comics.
But make sure you stay for the end credits because we know Doctor Strange. Yeah, there's 2 end credits, one mid, one end. The end is when you discover what Baron Mordo's going to be up to in the next couple films or film.
He's pretty salty.
But the one in the middle, that's going to give you the story where Doctor Strange is going to actually appear in Thor Ragnarok, it seems.
That's pretty cool. It makes. Yeah. I didn't even realize I wanted that.
Yeah, because the scene ends up with Doctor Strange meeting with Thor.
Yep.
And it was pretty awesome. I mean, Thor looks pretty casual, kind of like that comedy skit he did when he gets a roommate.
Yeah.
So he was just kind of there, and his beer's getting filled up.
He drinks it quick, finishes it, keeps going because it gets filled up on its own.
Yeah, and he comes to Doctor Strange because he's trying to find Odin, his father. So Doctor Strange says, let's go find him. So
yeah, it's basically find him and you're out of here.
Exactly.
Which Thor agrees to.
Yeah, so he just wants to get rid of Thor, essentially, because Doctor Strange still feels like he doesn't want to be fully immersed into that world, but he's going to get pulled into it eventually. So
he's going to.
And that kind of excites me because I feel like we know Hulk is going to be in Thor Ragnarok. So I feel that they might touch a little bit on both Planet Hulk, which they've already confirmed, but I think they might even touch on World War Hulk.
Yeah.
Because there's a famous scene in World War Hulk comic book where the Hulk crushes Doctor Strange's hands, and that would be kind of cool to see what kind of dynamic they do between all three of them. So I'm excited to see that.
It's one of those things. It's cool seeing comic panels come to life.
Yeah.
And especially giving a new life in a new way for this universe. It's cool.
So what did you not like?
What did I not like? For some reason, Marvel always has a moment to kind of step on the heavy moments a little bit. Such as like throwing that quick little quip to joke that's kind of like makes it from dark to light almost in an instant. So kind of like what you're saying, where the his cape takes on the life.
Yeah.
And like you see it, and it's such a heavy moment, and it's like, okay, it's about to go down, and then they kind of do that thing
ruin it.
Yeah, and it's funny, but should have been in that spot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It works better in moments like when he was with Wong. He's like, Wong, kind of like Drake.
Yeah,
Beyonce.
That fits.
Eminem.
And then you see it cut to where he's listening to Beyonce. That fits. But there's moments where it's kind of like a heavy moment, and then they just throw in that one little joke in there that's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot we were getting serious for a moment.
Yeah, and I wanted it to get serious, but it keeps trying to get funny.
It did, especially with Ancient One's speech right before she dies, which I want to hear that again. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it stops itself from getting to that heavy moment that really would have elevated it, probably past Winter Soldier, maybe in my book.
That is true. I mean, I'm trying to think of other things I didn't like, but there was very little to not like.
I think it would be nitpicking.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we kind of already mentioned that maybe I didn't like that it did play a lot of the same tropes as other movies, but it didn't do it bad.
It didn't do it bad. It was the same formula, so that can be something that if we're kind of reaching here.
That's
very similar formula to all their other films.
That's if you're judging this movie based on other movies.
Exactly.
Which might be unfair.
Exactly. But I mean, overall, just it being a standalone film was really good. I guess one quip I had against it was the origin story was so fast. Yeah. I couldn't get a feel for what kind of man Doctor Strange was, because Doctor Strange, you could tell they start off showing him operating, and you can tell he's doing it for the money and for the science. But then he gets a request for help from Christina. Right, Christina?
I think it's Christine, and one of the two.
And he goes immediately. So you're like, oh, this guy's pretty noble.
Yeah. Like, maybe he's not that bad of a guy.
He's not that bad of a guy, but he kind of is, because he's in the car and he's like, well, give me a good case, something that's going to get me money.
Yeah, that was the first.
Yeah.
For me, that scene was the first I saw, like, okay, this is the Doctor Strange I know.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they dialed down the arrogance a little bit and then brought it back up again.
Oh, man, they amped it up. So, I mean, they started off with him being, pretty noble. Then they showed you some arrogance, and then they just turned him into a full-on dick.
Yeah.
And then he finally finds solace and whatever. But, I don't know. And then the way him and Baron Mordo interacted, that was a good chemistry between them.
Yeah, like, the more I think about it, the more I appreciate I don't think I'm going to keep appreciating this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not one of those movies that it sits and it's like, well, okay, I didn't like this, that much. Everything that I thought I didn't like at first kind of fizzled away the more I thought about it.
Is it something you're going to see again?
Yes. This is something I'm going to see. This is not a Batman v Superman or a Suicide Squad, which that was bad.
I'm not going to lie. I saw Batman vs. Superman multiple times.
I did not.
I saw Civil War more times. I'm just more of a Marvel fan, as everyone can obviously see. But Doctor Strange, I'd see it maybe one more time. I thought it was pretty good, just for the experience, if anything.
I honestly, I enjoyed it more than Civil War, which I like Civil War a lot.
Yeah.
I just think this one was leaps and bounds better.
Oh, yeah. And it's because Civil War had so many characters.
It's more of a close-knit story, which that's what I'm a fan of. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm a fan of. Everything's more personal, and that's what I liked. So,
I'll see it again, but I would go see it again more for the spectacle of it, just the imagery, everything that was going on in that film. Okay, so out of 5, not 10.
Oh, 5.
Out of 5, what did you think?
4.5.
4.5
I
rating.
feel very strongly that this is probably their best origin story. The
Okay.
more I keep saying I think it might be, I should probably just accept that I think it is.
Okay.
It's unapologetic in its nature of the film. They knew that Doctor Strange is a weird character, so what do? They got weird with it. They didn't try to make it anything it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It embraced it fully, and it took me on a ride.
Yeah.
That most comic book movies now kind of sometimes can fall flat of.
Yeah, a lot of them are really, I mean, granted, it's all fake fantasy, but
Yeah,
a lot of them are grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And this one just takes you to a whole new level. Mm-hmm. And they even say, expand your mind. It's one of their taglines, just expand your mind.
And the impossibilities are endless.
Possibilities are endless. So, my rating, I'd give it a solid 4.
Okay.
It's going to be on my top 5 ranked Marvel films. Maybe we'll give you a ranking of all the films later.
That'd be fun to do.
That'd be fun, but yeah, I'll put it on my top 5.
It's a solid
give it 4
movie.
stars. Yeah, it was really good. I'll see it again.
Yeah, it's not a movie that the more I sit with it, the more I get angry about it. BVS. But it's one of those, the more I sit on it, I appreciate it.
Okay.
And it's solid, and I'm going to watch it again.
Well, guys, that is our quick review.
Let us know what you thought, whether or not you liked it, hated it, whether you like Marvel, whether you like DC. It's all fun to talk about.
Yeah, make sure you also follow us at NerdFellas and NerdFellas Official on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you subscribe, like, comment.
We got plenty more things coming up. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is growing at a rapid pace.
Very quickly.
The DC Extended Universe is growing at a rapid pace.
Big time.
And let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that we have so much to talk about now.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a lot more to talk about, a lot more to embrace. I'm excited for upcoming films like Fantastic Beasts, Rogue One,
Wonder Woman next year.
Just
MCU, you got Guardians, Thor Ragnarok, and Spider-Man. Not in that order, but all coming out next year. We're getting 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies a year now.
Very exciting time to be alive. So make sure you follow, subscribe, like. We'll see you next time. Nerd out.